Welcome to the third episode of our podcast, Aggregates Europe UPG. Today, my guests are the stars of the backstage, the Brussels-based team of Aggregates Europe UPG, which is working relentlessly for the interest of the European aggregates industry. Working almost 20 years in EU public affairs, having witnessed the financial crisis of 2008 and 2010, the terrorist attacks in 2015, the pandemic in 2020, and the Russian aggression against Ukraine in 2022, with the subsequent energy crisis, one could say that I have gathered some experience in life and could see challenges in a different perspective. But my grandfather survived 2 world wars and used to say that my generation is spoiled, living in peace and wealth. So let's give the voice to the next generation of young people and how they feel working in EU public affairs nowadays. Disclaimer at this point, we're not trying to cover all aspects and to answer all questions, but wish to raise the point of changing perspectives. Around the table, we have Cas from Cascade in the Netherlands, Manon, Patricia and Rim. Everyone is under 30 years, but what else might they have in common? Now, I have a couple of questions, and these are questions I directed to all of them in no specific order. And my first question is, can you, some of you, all of you, share the journey that led you to enter public affairs, communication and office management, so the areas they're working in, and what inspired you to pursue this career path?
Well, my name is Cas van Hardenveld from Cascade in the Netherlands. I am at Aggregates Europe for 3 weeks now, and this is my second day here. And how I came into public affairs was actually firstly in my studies. I studied political science and I learned a lot about how to communicate with politics, with the government. After that, I had my internship at the Dutch Institute for Human Rights, where I worked as a public affairs intern. And this really spiked my interest in being able to communicate the will and what the people think to the government and to politics. And I think it's very important that that happens.
Well, for me, it's almost the same thing. I have a background in political sciences, international relations. First, my name is Manon Graffet. I'm working for Aggregates Europe for several months now. As you guys, I studied political sciences, so I learned what is it, public affairs, how to communicate with governments. And after my degrees, I decided to undertake some experiences, but more related to diplomacy at first. And after, I realized that public affairs seem to be a different kind of diplomacy. I have always really enjoyed the game of negotiation, argumentation, and also the search for compromise. So finally, it seems to me that lobbying consists of representing the interest of a group towards an institution, which is diplomacy in itself.
On the other hand, for me, this is Reem Hajawi. It's been almost 9 months working at Aggregates Europe UEPG as an office management assistant. So I graduated with a health sciences degree in environmental health, and by coincidence, I was doing my internship in a research-related field, and some of the ladies I was working with redirected me to a career opportunity because I was a fresh graduate, I was looking for a job, I wanted to grow, and I got the chance to be a project coordinator. And ever since then, I got really interested in this field. It sparked my interest and attention. And this is why I'm currently the office management assistant at Aggregates Europe, and I'm currently working on my master's degree in management.
So, hi, I'm Patricia. I'm the PR and Communication Officer at Aggregates Europe. My decision was taken when I was 18 years old. So when the time came to choose a field of study, I decided to pursue something that will allow me to have creativity and to transform boring information into something that could be interesting and engaging for the public. And that's what I'm trying to do with Aggregates.
Okay, thank you. You're all chosen to work in the ag industry, but tell me, what kind of emergent trends do you see now? And you started different times, so I appreciate that. And what do you find out of it most exciting, and why is it so? And if you could make one significant change, what would that be?
Well, I'm working 4 years in the aggregates industry now. And one of the things for me which is most exciting is that we, with our projects, can contribute to a lot of developments in society, such as creating new nature, making sure water management measures are taken as part of the project, so we keep the world safer and we make it a little bit nicer. And I think that's one of the main things we should really improve on even more, just to make sure we make what the people want and we leave behind what people want.
Yes, for me, it's really in line with what you said. Again, one emerging trend that really attract me in the aggregates industry is, of course, the potential of recycling construction and demolition waste for the circular economy. So I find it very interesting to be able to avoid generating more waste and finding new ways to recover it. But also, what is really fascinating is the rehabilitation of the sites. So, working together with NGOs and scientists to show that natural restoration and aggregate activities can go hand in hand.
This is a very interesting perspective that you both talked about. I'm going to stray away a little bit. I see AI growing in these times, and I've started to see more machinery, more ideas related to AI-powered machines and ways to be able to extract the aggregates, such as machines that are AI-driven. There's no need to have a human inside to drive them and to extract, etc. And I see this as a good idea or project that's gonna happen in a few years, maybe. Especially that we're always talking about how there's a shortage in the personnel who are actually working on the field in the site, as it's a bit more dangerous than just an office job. That doesn't make it any less important. So I think that's a good thing.
All of you have some superpowers, which you might have from birth onwards, but maybe have developed them. What are these superpowers, the way you see them, and how useful are they for the work you're doing?
Yeah, you were talking about superpowers in terms of the skills we have, I think. Yeah, one of the skills that I feel is most important for my job is that you're really able to listen to other stakeholders and other people to make sure you get the best results for what you want. Because I think everyone has their own opinion, their own needs, and you need to make sure that everyone feels heard, otherwise it's not going to work in the end.
I totally agree with that. It was also on the top of my list, the ability to listen and also to search for a compromise, as I said before, which is something that has always driven me. On the argumentation too, I believe that the more you know the facts, the more credible you can be in front of stakeholders. But when you don't know, I've learned that it's really important to feel comfortable to ask the experts and to be humble when you don't know. And something that I really enjoy and I try to improve this skill as well is the ability to explain complex and technical topics in simple terms to highlight the stakes towards maybe politics, but also civil society.
On the other hand, what I think is important in my job is time management, setting priorities for certain tasks, as sometimes things could just become really overwhelming in dealing with everyday life and tasks. So I always wanted to improve on these things and these capabilities so that everything is done at the same time.
So my skills are a bit related with listen, but in a different way. I have to listen to the public, to what are they attract from. So my skills are more related to communicate about our industry, using clear and engaging communication for attract young people. I want to show them how important this industry is, how they can have great career opportunities with this industry.
One question, Mano. You mentioned that facts are important and finding compromises. How do you see with all the false news and the social media trying to influence opinions? Do you think that will be easier? Is it easier at all, or will it be easier, maybe with AI, to have fact-finded or fact-based policies?
I think that currently a lot of information is available very easily on the internet. And to avoid being informed by fake news or wrong information, I think it comes from education. It's internet and AI is a super magical tool, but it's very important to be able to use it in the good way, and so to know its limits and to know to which extent it can give you information, but also at the same time to stay critical with the information you can obtain from it. So I think the more you use this tool, the more you will see where are the limits, and the more you can educate yourself with that. But of course, this is very important, especially for the younger generation.
Okay. My next question is a little bit now, since we know your superpowers or skills and the tools we have available with all the side effects or risk, what kind of impact you hope to make through the work in public affairs, but also communication and office management in the aggregates industry, so in the position you're in?
For me, I always hope to keep performing my best and organizing properly, never missing a detail, and always being on time, and really to give our members and, of course, our team as well the best events that they can make use of, that we can all make use of together in order to improve with what we have.
My impact is related, of course, with communication, but I hope it will relate it with young people to make them learn about the industry and just to make more clearly communication. I want the information to be accessible for everyone, so this is what I love to do.
Yeah, for me, it's most important that we make sure that people can live their lives safely and happily. And I think we really can contribute to that by making sure there are aggregates to build houses, to renew infrastructure, to make sure people are safe from the water by building dikes or something like that. And on top of that, which we talked about before, we make very nice places. We leave new nature. We leave places where people can swim. What you can call on everything. I think it's important that people know that the aggregates industry can contribute to that, and that they need it to live their life.
I totally agree with that, and also which I think something I would like to do in terms of impact through public affairs is also promoting the respect for environment and nature by making industrial activities more resilient and flexible. But it's a question of finding ways to bring nature and economic activity together in an intelligent way, and of course, as you said, making the workplace more safer for the workers.
Okay. Now, will the abilities, the qualities you have, do you feel there's enough opportunity, and both at European level, but also in Cascade at national level, to get sufficient visibility in the work environment? If not, what is the reason for this?
Honestly, I don't think I'm there yet. I would say no, but not for now, at least. I'm still starting small, and I'm still in an assistant position, and most of the work we're doing is organizing, managing, communicating, and this is all done behind the scenes. The type of work I'm doing is more or less similar. I'm organizing the events that we have once a year or twice a year, and some other administrative tasks. So right now, I don't see that I have this big opportunity to get visibility, but if I keep on doing what I'm doing and improving and growing, I'm sure I will get the visibility, I will get more responsibilities, I will be more out there at some point.
Oh, sorry, I would like to react on that because I agree with you. From my point of view, I have the feeling that I am visible. I think it's because my area of expertise is related to policy, so maybe it's easier for people to understand why my role is important. However, as a team member, I consider that sometimes people underestimate or do not give sufficient visibility to the role and importance of certain position, for example, administrative task or logistical task, because it's task that without which it will be totally impossible for us to do our daily job. So I think it's something that we should make more visible for the outside people to see the backstage of the team.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think a lot of our work is behind the scenes because there's a lot that has to be done. But what we show to, for example, the Aggregate Europe members or the Cascade members are the results, and they don't see what has led to the results. But I also think that it's some kind of hidden visibility because if we don't do it, it will be noticed, and then they see in hindsight what we already did all the time.
My task is more related to put this behind the scene task to the public and give them the information. It's super good to we do our daily task, our own daily work, but it's super good to the people to know. If you don't have this information on the internet or on social media, they will not know. So I think it's super important to do the job, but also to communicate it to the people. It's
Yes.
two part of the same thing.
And I'm just wondering what the others think, but how do you feel that our work should be made more visible? How could we do it?
Good question.
Yeah, I think communication plays a big role in that. So maybe we should consider having more communication team members all working together from the different member associations, working together to get this idea out. Just a thought.
I think that the events we are organizing can be a help to make this behind the scene tasks more visible because you can meet the members, see the people, and they can see the face behind the emails.
Yes.
And yes,
That is super good too, but I think we have a lot of opportunities that we don't realize that we have. In the industry, there are a lot of opportunities of communication campaigns, as we don't have that many women in the industry. We can give them their voice as a woman on the aggregates industry. There are a lot of topics like this that we can talk about, making in this way the industry closer to the people.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because what kind of visibility and who should be visible? I mean, for example, Patricia, you're absolutely right. When you work on communication and visibility for the industry, maybe it's, if you're very successful, you're not visible yourself, but the members and the companies in the industry is visible. But, some visibility for the team members might be useful as well. Call it transparency because those who are doing and working and lobbying for an industry need to at least be known. So to have a face to an email, a face to a name, face to an action. But interesting point. Again, we're not here to answer all the questions and just to reflect and raise some points. But let's maybe go to another point, work-life balance. We all work a lot. We have official working hours, but obviously sometimes the workload is such that we go beyond these working hours. And there are pressures, sometimes less, sometimes more. But my generation, and I'm 49 now, often talks about the work-life balance. Do you see that this has been achieved over the years, and how important is for you to separate work from private life?
Well, I think it's important to have, of course, a good work-life balance. I think everyone thinks that's important. For me, a good work-life balance means that I can pursue my other life goals apart from work, and that have the time and ability to do it as much as I want to. For me, it doesn't mean that I can't work in the weekends or can't work at night, but there has to be there has to be some moments in which I can choose to not work and do what I would like to do at some point, just go for a walk, have a swim, whatever you can think of. But I think it is very different for everyone. For some other people, it might be better to not work in the weekends. It's how you are as a person as well.
Yes, I agree with that. I think we have made a lot of progress the recent years to achieve more work-life balance, but it remains still a challenge because of different reasons. I think sometimes there is economic pressure on the people, so that the individuals need to work longer hours or have multiple jobs to meet their economic needs, and sometimes it's impedes them to have this work-life balance. It depends also on the corporate culture. Some companies have values and practice that put a strong emphasis on long hours, constant availability, and visible presence at the office. So this can also put a pressure on individuals. And sometimes it's just up to the people to put their boundaries to what they are comfortable with, so that they are not obliged to check their emails or messages during the weekends, but it's to them to put their own boundaries. And some people are more or less able to do it. So yeah, I think there are still challenges to work-life balance, and that we can improve it, even if in the recent year this has been already improved.
To a certain extent, I can agree with both of you, Manon and Cass. But at the same time, in my opinion, I think we're still stuck in a hustle generation where everyone is trying to do so much and give a lot and be present here and there, and sometimes forgetting that we need a break. But I'm also slowly starting to see another group of people also rising to remind us to take a break and separate time for work and time for myself. And for me, I think it's definitely important to separate work life and my personal life, especially because I think we're always giving others, I mean, in other words, giving the job so much. But I think we should also give ourselves some credit, more appreciation. I think we really deserve to have some time off.
I fully agree with Rim, and I think for me, sometimes for us it's complicated to set boundaries because we are young and we don't see ourselves as we should be. Because we see our boss are older, they have a lot of experience, are not us, and sometimes we are seeing ourselves in a worse way that it should be. So, and it's super important for me to have some free time, do activities outside of work, and I think it's also super important for our mental health.
I agree with you. It's very difficult to find a balance between meeting the expectations of others that may not disappoint them, but at the same time respect your own boundaries.
Yeah, and I also think it's not just our responsibility, but also of the other colleagues we have. Because in the end, I think if we are happier and feel healthier, it contributes to the quality of our work as well. So it would be better for everyone if the balance is right.
Okay. Just a tricky question. What is more important for you, a pay rise or more leisure time?
Oh, that's a very nice question. Honestly, if you would have asked me that like a couple of years ago, I would definitely say I would prefer to have a raise than have some extra time for myself. And take into consideration that's especially true because I was a fresh graduate and all fresh graduates are just rushing to work and make their own money. However, right now, I would definitely tell you that I would appreciate some more leisure time, especially that we're working a lot and there's not enough hours in the day. And sometimes these responsibilities that we have and the things that we want to do are following us into the weekend, and we're not really making use of the weekend to really relax, enjoy our 20s, enjoy the youth. So yeah, I would appreciate some extra time. Yeah.
I fully agree with Reem. Now, for the moment, I live in far away from Brussels, so I really feel that if I will have to choose, I will choose more leisure time. I think we are all having the feeling or that we have to be proactive, we have to work. Sometimes I just like the week happen and I don't want to go anywhere on the weekend because I'm so exhausted of the week of just speaking another language that is not mine all day, working all the week, and just yeah, it's life. And sometimes we deserve more free time and just get some rest.
Yep. For me, it depends completely on the social construction scheme you want to follow. If you want to have the classic pattern, have a career, be in a relationship, build a family, and take on all the responsibility that go with it, then of course the priorities will be linked with the responsibilities you will have, and they can be different at different stage of your life, or you decide to take a totally different um, life scheme and be completely independent. And so maybe for you it will be more important to get to have more money to do your own activities, but it will not imply a family or something else. In my case, I think it depends completely on the stage of life. In here, I graduated not so long ago, so for me, I would prefer to have a pay rise, but I'm sure this will change over time if tomorrow, not tomorrow, let's wait a couple of years first. But if one day I want to have kids, maybe I will be happy to have more leisure time, not leisure time, but more time to enjoy my family.
Time for yourself.
And in that case, I would like that my partner would do the same so that we can enjoy that all together. So yeah, and again, nothing is written in stone, and I might change my mind over time. But I like the fact that I can have the options to choose what is best for me, given my according to my priorities in life.
Yeah, I think that's really true. It really depends on which stage of your life you are in. For me, it's like I'm 4 years in the real working life right now. And at this moment, I would really like to move out from my current house and get a better house. And for that, I would need more money. So at this moment, I would really prefer a pay rise. But on the other hand, I would like to have more free time to pursue my other goals. But I know when I get a new house, that might come afterwards again. So it really depends on the context you are in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you partly already answered my next question. And, absolutely true. It depends where you are in life. But do you have long-term plans for your life and what the expectations also from family members or friends or like colleagues? Because obviously you exchange on what you would like to do in future. How do you see future? Is that influencing you? Is it, for example, that family members say now it's time to do certain things in life that you have to move towards that line?
Well, personally, I'm not really a long-term planner. I will see where life takes me in a way. Of course, I have some ideas about what I want in 10 years, for example, a nice house, a nice place to live, maybe a family. But there, for me, it stops what the planning is, and I will see when happens, what happens when it happens.
Yes, me too. So I try not to project too far ahead either. Also because these days with all the crises that come and go, we don't know what the future is made of. So I think we need to be able to adapt to what the future results us, and to be resilient and flexible towards that. Even if, of course, I have some long terms things that I want to achieve, but it's not very. It's not very. I don't have a strict plan to follow. And I also don't want to make too many expectations so that I cannot be disappointed at the end.
If I can comment on that, because when I was 20, which is now 9 years ago, I had more long-term plans, but they didn't come out. So I also learned that it doesn't always help to have those plans because you can get disappointed
Indeed.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you both. Honestly, I think it's a hard time that we're going through right now to really make concrete plans for 10 years later in the future. But for sure, I have in my mind career goals that I would like to achieve. And I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, I have the family plan thing put more to the side. I'm focusing on my career first because if I can make it in my career, I can definitely be there to support my family and actually have them have some expectations relying on me so that I can also provide for this family. But yeah, I think it's a lot of pressure to put on ourselves right now. I think we should just have a plan and just take it easy, really.
Yeah, I think if we are talking about long-term plans, I don't have a big plan. Just I really want to be a mother. And hopefully, living next to the beach in Spain. But this is things that will happen in a couple of years. I hope so. And also, I think if we are talking about expectation, they will come more from our family members than from our friends. Now times are changing. If you look at my group of friends, they are all living in different countries, having so different lives. So we don't put that pressure on us that maybe that is more related to the family. Yeah, time has changed like us.
But what kind of expectations, for example? What kind of expectations does your family have from you?
My family love me and they will agree with everything I will do, but I think they hope me to come back to Spain and have a family, buy a house, typical things.
And Joachim?
Oh, um, I don't know if it's maybe because of my Arabic background, but yeah, for sure, my mom and my dad would definitely want to see me, of course, succeed and be in good health. But for sure, they want to see me as a mom. They want to see me having kids. They want to see me with a family running around, children, as well as my sister and my brother, if I can say that. But maybe I'm the odd one out. I'm not thinking about that at all right now. I'm trying to be away from that as much as possible because I think it's a lot to take in at the same time. I think I'd rather focus on my career because I'm still young in that place, and I still have a lot to learn from life before thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And you?
Yes, I don't know what you think about it, but I think it's a chance that our generation is more free to do the choice they want to do, for especially for women to be able to work, have a career, and for men to be able to take care of the family and share tasks. But for me, I don't know what you feel, if you feel the same, but I think there is, now that we have the choice, we have also more social pressure to meet all the other expectations there is in life. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
there is the career, but there is also the family,
For sure.
the relationship, but also you have to do sport, you have to cultivate yourself, you have to have leisure activities, but it's makes me think of something is that not doing anything during your weekend, for example, just having free time and doing nothing is not it's not
shameful
acceptable
right now,
anymore.
yeah. It's like
Because we have all these other expectations, and sometimes I can feel some pressure on that.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think there are a lot of different expectations from different groups of people in your life. Because I think like all the parents we have want to be grandparents at some point. So there is some pressure to make that happen, I think. Like for my parents wouldn't pressure me to do it at some certain point in life, but they really want to have a grandchild from me. And on the other side, you have your social friends, social. You have to make sure that your social life is also attended to. And I feel a lot of pressure from that sometimes, that all my weekend days are planned full because I have to see everyone at a certain moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, I don't know who it was, that pressure from family is stronger than from friends. But, you know, this social pressure, which you just mentioned, Cas, I realized when I was like 30, a couple of friends reviewed what we have done so far with life and career. You know, where one was a manager, another one maybe just bought a house, other one had kids already. When I was 30, I had nothing of it. And now I have 4 kids, I have a house and a job. But, you know, it's never really too late in life to maybe do that. But problem is probably to find the right time, the right opportunity. But Gus, it would be to me, and you just mentioned Manon and also Rim and Patita, you mentioned more the role and the expectation of young women in society now and what you have to do with your life. But what about Gus? What are the expectations of a young man, in particular when it comes to also taking a share in family and still be successful in work?
Well, yeah, I think the views on that has to change a little bit as well, because as a person, I would really like to be involved in raising my kids. But I also know that other people perceive me not working 40 hours as something strange because I want to have time with my kids. The gender roles are still quite strict in that sense. People think the mother will stay home for the kids and the dad will make as many hours as he can. And I think that should just change for the better for everyone. Women should be able to focus on their career more, and men should invest their time in having their kids.
Yeah, I think it's more a question of having the possibility to do it. Again, gender should not be assigned with roles, but gender equality means having the choice to do whatever you want. If you are a man and you want to do a career is fine too. We don't have to make the roles opposite. It's just the freedom.
Yeah, it has to be able to make a choice in the context you are in, I think. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yet another question, and it's a complex one, because as you know, we have in the European Union 27 member states, and therefore 27 nationalities, 24 official languages. We're working together for a common policy in Europe, and gender equality is high on the agenda. But how important is gender and nationality and belonging to that young generation, which we often call Generation Z, in your work? And also, do you feel that there is a difference between the way in which young professionals perceive work in comparison to older colleagues? And also, do you feel other colleagues have an opinion on the work choices you make in life?
Well, I think this is a really difficult question, but in general, I think that society is really diverse. And to get the best results in a workplace, the workplace should also be really diverse to get all the insights and all the views on life there are. I do feel that in the aggregates industry, sometimes there's not a lot of diversity. For example, there are a lot of older men still working in this sector, and that makes that you all think a little bit the same and therefore don't see the other views that are out there, which can contribute to a little bit of a one-sided way of doing things.
Yes, I agree. Although in my day-to-day life, I make a point of advocating for greater inclusion, in particular with regard to gender equality. To answer to the question, is gender important in my work? I don't find that my gender plays an important role in my work. And I mean by that, the fact that I'm a woman doesn't define my work any differently than it would be if I were a man. So because I don't refer every action to my gender identity, because I consider that my actions are gender neutral. But that being said, it doesn't change the fact that I'm aware that the sector is predominantly male and that parity is low. And of course, I would like this to evolve towards a greater inclusivity. Also, this predominance of men has an effect on how people in the sector perceive me because I'm a woman. And therefore, there are de facto consequences in my daily life, but it's more on how others perceive me than how I perceive myself.
I would like to just agree with your perspective. I share the same opinion, the same way of thinking, because I don't think my nationality or gender or background is anything that plays a role in dictating whether I get this job or not, especially being part of this team. That is not related at all. However, in differences in how different generations perceive work, that would definitely be a yes. There is differences in generations perceiving the job differently. And I think, as Kos said, we already have most of the people who are working in this field are older men, and I think that there's a difference in how they deal with things and how we, as the younger generation, even more emphasis on women, deal with things. Maybe sometimes they might see us as not as active as they would like us to be, or have this, for example, modern teleworking thing, and maybe not all of them see it as a good thing. Maybe they consider it as an excuse that we take to, for example, I don't know, not do the job and be at home and hide under this cover of teleworking. But I think there are some changes that need to happen in regards to that, because sometimes it might just be a little bit unfair, you know?
I fully agree with you. Also, in the telework topic, I think also that we have a lot of more information of everything. Mental health, how to manage stress, how to set boundaries, and they didn't have this information when they start to work. So now it's complicated to be at the same level, because now we have we are going to do a stress management workshop. It's an example of all the opportunities we have. Now in life, if you don't like your job, you go to another one. That didn't happen that often in the past. So it's complicated to change their minds. They didn't have the option that we have now. They had another option in terms of job opportunity maybe, but it's different. So yeah, I think that should change, but also this information and in terms of it will make their lives better.
Yeah, I think it's just very important that we all have understanding for each other as well, because we are different than the people who are working longer already, but the way they works for them possibly. So we should understand that as well, and that's why they want to hold on to it sometimes, I think. Even though we might think it's better the way we think we should do things. On the other hand, it can also hold back innovations and new ways of doing things. So there should be some understanding for us as well to make sure there is space to do new things.
Of course, it should go in both ways, to be able to understand the older generation, but for them also to understand us. But yeah, I think sometimes the intention is not bad. This generation is interested in having innovative systems or listening to new ideas. But I think because, as you said, Patricia, because they are maybe less aware of how to do that, it can be done in a clumsy way sometimes.
Okay. I would like to touch upon the idea of mental health. I think this is a really important point to make, and I think this in particular has a lot of controversy, because this younger generation is more aware on the aspect of mental health, and I still think that the older generation is kinda maybe lagging a bit behind, and this poses some, I don't know, issues sometimes for us in this age. Maybe we are not understood properly because of that, because they don't have this awareness. And this causes really a lot of problems, in my opinion.
I fully agree with you. I think like they see us as weaks, because maybe like some people of my age, I'm 24, have depression or have some mental illness, but it doesn't mean that they don't have them. Like that aren't aware of this topic of mental health doesn't mean that they don't have depression or they are perfectly in this term. So that is a hot topic, and I think We have a lot of opportunities now. We have free therapy sometimes. We have a lot of options, but they have to consider this option too, because they are also for them. Maybe it can help them.
Again, not being part of this generation, Manu, you said that sometimes the older generation is a bit clumsy with a good intention. How can the older generation be less clumsy, and how could the older generation better understand the younger generation, if there is such a thing of the younger and the older generation?
Asking, I think everybody can ask question. If you're not sure on what you're doing, just ask if I'm making this action, does it hurt you? Is it the good way to do it? If you don't know, just ask question. It's how we can do awareness is by knowing how not to hurt people.
I would just add that maybe this generation should also want to learn more about our generation and how to be more involved in the things in this generation. It's not just about asking. I'm not saying it's not it. It should be that way. They should ask. They should learn in order to learn. But it will be better if it's them. They want to learn. It's not just doing it for the sake of doing it, because it's that will lead to a completely different outcome.
Yeah, good point.
And with all the options you just mentioned, nowadays you have so much information, a flood of information, and so many options. Is that good or is it a bad thing? I mean, having too many options could also be tricky. And am I wrong?
I think it's good to have a lot of information. If like that, you can choose between everything. Now you can be aware if you are in a toxic relationship. Now you can be aware if you are in a toxic relationship with your family, friends, if you are having a mental illness. So it's good to have the choice, but I don't think that affects in a negative way to us. I think that the thing that affects to us in a negative way is to be overwhelmed with not exactly information, but about communication. Each time we see the TV, there are a lot of advertising. Each time we go to the mobile phone, there are a lot of TikTok, Instagram Reels, everything. A lot of things going into us. Sometimes we are so overwhelmed with, it's not in terms of information, but sometimes communication about a topic. If you want to learn about, I don't know, one topic, maybe, okay, gender equality, we're going to choose gender equality. You will find 1,000 of Instagram accounts about that, Reels, TikTok, everything. So that sometimes is bad to us to be so overwhelmed with communication.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of a culture change that needs to happen for everyone, because yes, there is more information, so there's more to know what is happening to you or what you can do about it. On the other hand, the people who are longer working in this world didn't have those opportunities of this knowledge, and therefore they need to adapt to it as well. And I think it also takes some courage from the younger generation just to talk about it and really be communicative about it. Because if the people do not hear it from us, they might not hear it anyways.
Good point.
Okay. Last point from my side. We have war in Europe. Trump might become again the next US president, and the European elections could result in a shift towards the political right. Now, the challenge for the four of you, tell me 3 developments which are positive and makes you optimistic.
Well, in general, I think it's my opinion on life that people are good, whatever is happening in the world at the moment. So there are things, developments that I think are still positive. For example, people are more aware of what they want, what they know. It's a little bit what we talked about just now, and they're willing to fight for it more. And I think that's a good development. And another good development is that there is more, yeah, we talked about this already as well, but that there is more awareness of people, how they should raise their kids or how they want to raise their kids. There are more choices about it, and I think it's going in a better direction than before. And this is a really big one, but the climate change and all the stuff like that, it's by far not where we want it to be, but I think more and more people are concerned with it. Even though there's a very long way to go, it's better than it was before, so I would still call it a positive development, in a way.
Yeah, I also truly believe that human beings are good, and they want to try for the good. So this was also my point to the fact that there is more of raising awareness and action on social justice issues. So yeah, there is a growing global awareness on activism around social justice issue, including racial equality, gender rights, LGBTQ plus rights. A lot of movements we have seen these recent years, like Black Lives Matters, Me Too movement, Pride, they have gained a lot of international attractions, which I think is very good. It makes information accessible for everyone. And sometimes if you can make a lot of noise, you can lead to policy changes. I mean, you don't need to do a lot of noise, but to inform and educate people. But the more you are doing this, the more visibility you will get. So yeah, I think also that younger generations are increasingly engaged in social activism, which is an option that social media encourage because you can take position. So yeah.
I fully agree with you with that point. It was one of my point. I fully agree with you, and I think we are doing great. I hope I see a change when I will be older, and we will see. But I think we are doing great. There are a lot of campaigns that are running out now. It's a good point. Also, I think one good point just to have in mind is like we can choose our lifestyle in terms of maybe my parents didn't have the option as I have to choose where I want to live, what I want to do, what type of job I want to do, and what it's my real passion. That is a thing that maybe my parents, it was worse for sure for my grandparents, didn't have the option to live the lives they wanted to live. So
Yeah, so with that positive notes on developments, I would like to conclude this podcast. It's been the longest podcast so far, but we had not just one guest, but we had 4 guests, so I think it's all justified. Thank you very much to Cas, to Manon, to Rim and Patricia for this sort of brainstorming on not only the generation, but nationality, gender, equality, work-life balances, the challenges we're facing, and again, on all the visibility we should have, or maybe our members, but or both of us, and all of us, but the visibility for sure for our industry and the work we're doing together. Thank you very much to all of you. And we hope to have the next podcast end of June. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.